Nothing deficit. Ricky goes. A pitch taken. He's going to have it. He does. Ricky Henderson, no contest, steals third base.
That clip was Ricky Henderson breaking the all-time record for bases stealing. He is undoubtedly the greatest base runner of all time. He leads every other player by a country mile in bases stolen in a career, whose all-time record is very unlikely to be broken. Ricky Henderson is arguably my favorite baseball player of all time. I'm not a big baseball card guy, but he's one of the very few people's cards who I actually own. So I was going back watching a lot of his highlights and such, and it made me kind of wonder, while Ricky Henderson may have been the best base stealer of all time, who was the best player to never steal a base? This video is very similar to my first video I did, the best player to never hit a home run. And so I kind of went through a similar methodology of going out and picking all of them. So I pretty much went by three criteria, primarily two, but kind of tacked on the third one. So the first one's going to be WAR. So it's going to be wins above replacement. And for those of you who don't know, that's just seeing how valuable a player is relative to a replacement level player. So either a bench player or a minor league player, just pretty much how many wins did that player add to the team if there was somebody else in his place. The next one I have is OPS plus, which takes your OPS and it normalizes it across the run environment. So it pretty much puts the entire league on a neutral field and allows you to measure it from there. The most important thing with this stat is that 100 is always average. So for instance, if you have 110 OPS plus, that means that you're 10% better than the average batter in the league. The third criteria that I included onto it, it doesn't carry as much weight as the other two, but it's accolades. So if a player consistently made all-star teams, silver slugger, anything like that, it'll kind of weigh in onto it. But like I said, primarily we're going to be looking mostly at OPS plus and WAR. And before we really get on into it, I want to let you know that I did exclude pitchers from this list. I primarily want to focus on position players and such like that because I'm sure that a guy like Sandy Koufax, who never got a steal in his career, is probably going to dwarf most of the guys I'm going to be talking about all the time. So what I have here is a query that pulled all the players who have at least won WAR and have 0 stolen bases in their career. And I know it's kind of a lot of numbers, but most of the important stuff that we need to focus on is over here in green. So over here we have WAR, the number of seasons that player played, and their WAR per season. So obviously this is just going to be the WAR over here divided by the number of seasons. That way we kind of figure out how quickly they accrue. Obviously right here is the number of stolen bases, and then their OPS plus right here. And really one of the big reasons I wanted to include WAR per season is because a lot of guys have a lot higher WAR than others on this list, but that's simply because they have a little bit of longevity and such like that, which I think does play a role into this. Like I said in my previous video, is that if you can find a way to stick around in the major leagues without having one of the essential skills such as like base running and such like that, you must be pretty valuable in other areas. But I think in this list, it'll probably take a little bit more of a backseat. So towards the bottom of this list, as you can see here, we have Daniel Vogelbach of the Toronto Blue Jays. And so far in his career, he's accrued about 1.3 WAR over 8 seasons. That put him right at about 0.2 WAR per season. As you see here, he has 0 stolen bases throughout his career, and his OPS plus is 106 throughout his career. So on average, he's about 6% better than the average batter, so right around league average. And taking a look at his baseball reference, as you can see, there's nothing that jumps off the page too terribly quick. As you see down here in 2024, it looks like his OPS plus has taken a bit of a hit from his career average from there. But I mean, outside of that, he's a one-time All-Star, and as you can see here, these numbers up here symbolize the different numbers he wore with various teams. So it looks like he's been a little bit of a journeyman throughout his career. See here, his lone All-Star appearance came with Seattle back in 2019 from there. So while Daniel Vogelbach is a very solid player, as you can see, pretty much league average as a part of most offensive statistics, I don't think he's exactly the guy we're looking for as the best player to never steal a base. Moving up a bit onto this list, so when we start looking at WAR per season, whenever we want to see players who averaged at least 1 win above replacement per season, the first guy on our list is going to be Jack Hyatt. So as you can see here, he had a 8.5 career WAR, about 8 seasons in the majors, so puts him right about 1.1 wins above replacement per season. You see here, obviously, 0 stolen bases, and he's 109 OPS plus, so about 9% better than league average, right around league average. And taking a look at Jack Hyatt's baseball reference base, it looks very similar to Daniel Vogelback's. See here, he's a bit of journeyman throughout his career. The only difference I can really see is that obviously he doesn't have an all-star appearance. And kind of looking at his career, which spanned from the mid-'60s to early 1970s, it kind of looks like a lot of his batting was really much higher in earlier careers, and it seems to have taken a dip towards the tail end of it. So, I mean, very solid player, very solid career and such, but I don't exactly think that he articulates to be the best player to ever steal a base. Hey guys, I was looking over the video and I realized that I had incorrectly calculated the number of seasons that these two players have played from there. I initially had just taken the year they started minus subtracted from the year that their career ended, but I realized that this actually shorted me about a year on each of these players, and so it doesn't particularly change their rank. The only thing that really impacts is their overall WAR per season, which I have listed here as far as a general update. So my apologies for that, but like I said, it really doesn't impact too terribly much besides WAR per season. Now we're actually at the top of the list, and this is kind of where it gets pretty interesting. Most of the list is pretty well defined and such, but towards the top, as you can see here, it gets pretty close. We have 3 players listed here. So we have Alejandro Kirk. He has about 8.8 WAR across 5 seasons, which puts him about 1.8 WAR with 0 stolen bases, OPS plus about 106. And the last 2 players we got here, so we got Augie Bergamo, who has about a 3.3 WAR. So played across 2 seasons, so it puts him just about 1.7 WAR per season. Obviously, 0 stolen bases and 121 OPS plus. The last player we have here is Aaron Robinson. He has a 12.1 WAR across 8 seasons, and that puts him about 1.5 WAR a season. Obviously, 0 stolen bases and OPS plus of about 112. So as you can see, all these guys are really closely knit. Obviously, WAR per season and OPS plus. Of the 3, Alejandro Kirk, according to OPS plus, is about the most average batter within it. And according to WAR per season, though, he actually ranks slightly higher than the others. And taking a look at Captain Kirk's baseball reference we have here, he is a one-time All-Star and a Silver Slugger. He's played his entire career with the Toronto Blue Jays. And as you see here, it looks like he's having a little bit of a down year. His OPS plus is only about 90 at the moment, but he's still racking up about 1.8 WAR. So right on track for his career average for a pace. And if we come down here and look as by year, it looks like 2022 is definitely going to be his best year as far as longevity and consistency. I know 2020 here, he has an OPS plus of 166, but overall, I mean, there's only 25 plate appearances. So as far as an entire season goes, 2022 has definitely been his best season, and it looks like he's just been maybe struggling a little bit ever since. So looking at the next guy on our list, we got the Augie Bergamo. And as you see, we have 3.3 WAR like we discussed, 121 OPS plus down here. The main thing against Augie, though, is that despite having impressive WAR per season and OPS plus, he only played for 2 seasons. So despite him having impressive numbers, it was over a very short time span. And so I think it'd be a little bit hard for me to declare him the best player to never have stolen a base. And so doing a little bit of further research as to why his career was so short, according to the American Society of Baseball Research, his kind of a weird case because he was given his opportunity because of World War II, but he also lost his major league career because of World War II. So obviously during World War II, many of the best baseball players in the U.S. were enlisted into the armed forces, and so they were kind of scrambling to find anybody they could really fill the major leagues. And that's where Augie came in. So during the 2 years, wherever all the other Cardinals players, their typical mainstays, were off overseas in World War II or just serving the armed forces. Augie stepped in and he was their right fielder. With that being said, though, that whenever all the mainstay players and the regular players had returned back from World War II, that kind of cost him a spot. So he was once again demoted down to the minor leagues and never really made an appearance again onto there. So the last player we want to talk about here is Aaron Robinson. And so as you guys can see, we talked about his 12.1 career WAR, a 112 OPS plus. He's actually a one-time All-Star and appeared in the 1947 World Series. And kind of going down to his career, as you can see, 1943 was his first season, but he only had one at bat the entire season. So if you were to take that away, this is kind of what his WAR per season and other stats that we discussed earlier would look like. And if you kind of follow his career trajectory from there, you can see that he spent the next 3 years with the Yankees. He even actually got a little bit of MVP motion towards the end of 1946, and 1947 was his final year with the Yankees. This was when he was an All-Star. And after this, it seems like he bounced around a good bit. So I guess that kind of brings us to the final conclusion of the video. Who's the best player to never have stolen a base? In my opinion, it would have to be Aaron Robinson. But with that being said, I think Alejandro Kirk, it's all said and done, could maybe overtake him from there. The main thing is I have concern with Alejandro is his OPS plus. It's just barely above league average. And his past 2 seasons, he's actually been below league average. So if that trend would continue, obviously he's not going to surpass Aaron Robinson. And given the fact that Aaron Robinson did it for a lot more seasons than Alejandro Kirk or Augie Bergamo for that case. So in my opinion, I think Aaron Robinson is going to be the best player to have never stolen a base. With that being said, feel free to do your own research onto it and let me know in the comments below if there's any players that I missed or anything that you think I should change and maybe go back and refine the search with. Just wanted to do again say thank you so much for watching and let me know in the comments below if you guys have any questions or anything like that or any topics you think I should cover in the future, not just related to baseball, but just sports stories, stats, anything like that in general. One of the big things I want to do with this channel is to really kind of show that sports in general, but specifically sports stats are for everyone. The barrier to entry may seem very high, and I kind of want to show people that it's really not as high as you would think it is, and really anybody can get into the hobby. And I think it's brings so much depth and a dynamic look onto the game. And I mean, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. So if you have any questions regarding that, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer.